modules later. Think about it. But otherwise, you're most welcome to be here and gain from the Sadhu Sangha and just be spiritually surcharged in what we do. So without taking too much more time today, while introducing Maharaj, thanking Mayapur Institute, thanking the organizers locally in Damodardesh who are coordinating the program, thanking all of you for being here in the course. These are being recorded. They're not going to be published out, but in case some of you have lost some part of it and you want to review it, refresh, the recordings can be passed on to you. So having said that, thank you, Maharaj. We welcome you to Damodardesh and we welcome you to take us through to Upadesh Amrita in the few classes that you will be taking us through. Thank you. His Holiness Bhakti Vignavinasha Narsingha Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, Maharaj, are you also going to be coming on a video?
If you want, I was going to use a slideshow. I do have a slideshow.
Let them see your face and be blessed by some of them you before. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, so we want to go into computer, into sharing the screen here. Are you able to see the slide? Is it coming up?
Not yet, Maharaj. Yeah, it's coming now, Maharaj. Yes, we can.
Now you have it? Okay, yeah. Good. Let's see. Okay, so welcome to the Nectar of Instruction. And here we have the Goswamis. I haven't adjusted the fonts yet, but anyway, I think just bear with it tonight. I know next class I'll try to finish up get the fonts adjusted. Anyway, this is the second verse from the Goswami Astakam, where it mentions Nana Shastra Vicharina Ikanipano, that the Goswamis are always engaged in studying the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles. And thus they are honored all over the three worlds and are worth taking shelter of because they're absorbed in the mood of the gopis and engaged in the loving service of Radha and Krishna. Okay, so here you can see lesson 1. I put preface and text 1, but tonight we're only going to look at the preface. It's a shorter class. Usually I would have 3 hours for such a presentation, but we're just having a 1.5 hour class tonight. Here's a little introduction to how this Upadeshamrita came about. So it's described in the diary of Govinda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant, that Lord Chaitanya was residing in Jagannath Puri, and of course he was constantly in a mood of great separation. And at that time his two intimate associates, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai, they would try to pacify him by reciting verses that were appropriate to his mood. So it was described in the diary of Govinda that one time Mahaprabhu was sitting with his devotees on the shore of the ocean, hearing Krishna Katha. And seeing the dense grove of trees lining the shore of the ocean and the sand dunes, remembrance of Govardhan Hill and the Yamuna River, with the many beautiful gardens and groves situated on her banks, sprang up inside him. Then he began weeping in separation from Krishna, When his excitement subsided and he became peaceful, he instructed the assembled devotees in a soft, sweet voice. Srila Rupa Goswami wrote Sri Upadesh Amrita verses based on these instructions. So the Upadesh Amrita was from the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Rupa Goswami was inspired to write. So we will talk a little bit about Srila Rupa Goswami because he is the author of this book. Here a comment from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who also wrote a commentary on this book, Upadesh Amrita. Actually, this book, Upadesh Amrita, it was discovered by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had gone to Vrindavan, and he had the opportunity to go through a very respectable Vaishnava's library. And when he went through the library, at that time he came across the Upadesh Amrita written by Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur became very excited and ecstatic. He said, this is a wonderful boon for the devotees. All the devotees of the Lord will relish hearing this wonderful book by Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur immediately had the book copied, and then he also wrote a commentary on the Upadesh Amrita. And then after he wrote a commentary on it, then it was also continued, another commentary was continued by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, their father and son, so they were often together. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada spent a lot of time with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And under the inspiration of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he also wrote his commentary. So he says in his commentary, Rupa Goswami collected the essence of all the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered it as a gift to the genuine sadhakas. Sadhakas. So we're all sadhakas. We're doing sadhana. We have not yet become siddhas. We're not yet perfect, but we're on the path. We're practicing, doing our sadhana. And this book, Upadeshamrita, is the essence of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can see the Upadeshamrita and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a more elaborate explanation of the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami, of course, he was given instruction. He's a direct disciple of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first, after Lord Chaitanya had come to Ramakeli and encouraged both Rupa and Sanatan to leave the service of the Nawab and to come and join him. So Sanatan could not immediately leave, but Rupa did leave, and Rupa Goswami met Lord Chaitanya at the at Prayagraj, at the junction of the Yamuna and the Ganga. And for 10 days, Lord Chaitanya instructed Rupa Goswami in the mellows of devotional service. And then he sent Rupa Goswami to Vrindavan, to reside in Vrindavan, and to write books on Bhakti Shastra, and to also excavate the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and to establish also a temple showing how to properly worship the deity. So Rupa Goswami, he's the leader of the Goswamis and one of the direct disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Here's a quote from Srila Prabhupada's Preface. I hope you've all read the Preface. It's very important. Prabhupada's Prefaces are always very useful and very helpful in studying his books. It's an introduction to the book. So in the Prabhupada's preface on page 8, it says, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind him the 8 verses known as Shikshastika, Rupa Goswami gave us Upadesh Amrita so that we may become pure Vaishnavas. So Lord Chaitanya left us the Shikshastikam. Every morning we like to recite the Shikshastikam, customary in the temples, and we will recite the 8 verses of Shikshastikam. So Rupa Goswami, he gave us this Upadesh Amrita, which is only a little longer than Shikshastikam, is 8 verses, but Upadesh Amrita 11 slokas, but very, very nectarian, very instructive. And then Srila Prabhupada wrote in a letter, this was in the year 1976, which was when the book was first published by our society. And Prabhupada wrote about the book. When he saw the BBT edition, he said, the nectar of instruction has come out very nice. It is very important and must be immediately read by all devotees. In the near future, we shall introduce the Bhakti Shastri examination for second initiation, and this shall be one of the required books of study. Anyone who reads it will immediately understand what Krishna consciousness is. I remember as a devotee when the book came out, we were a little confused because the nectar of instruction, Upadeshamrita, as it's also known, it talks about Radha Kund, and of course talks about residing there in Radha Kund. So we were a little confused. There was some confusion among the BBT, the members in the BBT. They were thinking when they printed it, they would just print a few hundred copies because they thought that this book will only be for the devotees because it's very high philosophy. It's talking about the highest thing, about Radha Kund, and we don't want the public to get all this and to hear this. So the BBT managers were thinking, if we just print a few hundred books or maximum 1,000, that will be enough. But when Prabhupada heard this, he said, no. He said, why? He said, this should be for mass distribution. He said, it's a very important book, very nice book. He said, print many copies. And so, of course, we printed like 20 or 30,000 books. And it was mass distributed. So Srila Prabhupada wanted everyone to read it. Not even just devotees, but especially it's important for the devotees. And you can see here also, Prabhupada mentions that Bhakti Shastri examination for second initiation. So nowadays, of course, we have that standard that someone wants to have the Brahmanical initiation, receive the Gayatri Mantra, then they should also first study Bhakti Shastri. And they should have some good knowledge of the basic scriptures. Right? And that way the Brahmanas will have some knowledge of the scriptures. And Brahmana means one who knows Brahman. So it's expected that a Brahmana has some knowledge. And we get that good philosophical basis from the Bhakti Shastri course. It's very helpful to study this course. And of course, Srila Jayapataka Swami, he's been studying it and he's encouraging everyone also. they should also follow his example. Very wonderful example. And it's certainly very nice to see more and more people study this Bhakti Shastri course. Every year we find more and more people. We have even introduced this course in China, and at the present moment we have 120 people enrolled in the Bhakti Shastri course. And they're hearing a class every day, Monday to Friday. One of the devotees who resides in Mayapur, actually, a Chinese lady, she's giving class every day, 1.5 hours. In this way, we want everyone properly trained, and then they can be properly initiated. All right, so here's the Goswamis, and here you can see something that the topics, usually we would teach the course like this. It may be it's going to be a little different this time. Tonight we're just doing the preface, and the next class we'll do text 1. This is a little different, but you can see the main items, the main topics which are discussed. The first text is dealing with controlling the six urges, which are explained in text 1, the 6 urges, which we have to control. And it's pointed out these urges, just controlling these urges, it doesn't mean that now you're a pure devotee, but rather it's the stairway to devotion. If we do have control over the urges, then we can begin to practice bhakti. So texts 2 and 3 go on to describe the things which are favorable, which are very helpful for our spiritual advancement, and the things which we should give up, which are unfavorable things. So it's important to know these things. These verses are often quoted. And then text number 4 then describes about 6 kinds of loving exchanges between one devotee and another. There should be nice exchanges. And these 6 exchanges are described by Rupa Goswami, how we should show our appreciation and how we can develop nice relationships with devotees. And then text 5 and text 6 discuss about the attitudes towards devotees, how we can recognize devotees on different levels, and how we can have proper respect for devotees. And particularly it's pointed out that we shouldn't consider a devotee on the basis of his physical looks, just whether he looks like he's a cultured high-class person, or whether he's just an ordinary from the low levels of society. We shouldn't have material considerations in judging devotees. So this is very helpful for us to understand, to correct our attitude, our thinking about making judgments about advanced devotees, about who's advanced and who's not. All right, and then after that, then texts 5 and 7 and 8 also discuss about spiritual advancement, accelerating our advancement, how we have to take more shelter of the holy name and live in the holy places, these kinds of things. And then certainly it comes into higher level of bhakti, talking more about raga bhakti. The first 5-6 verses are dealing with sadhana bhakti, but then we come more to raga bhakti, and then text 9, 10, and 11, the highest stages and the conclusion, where Rupa Goswami describes about the perfection of Krishna consciousness and how we should go and reside at Radha Kund. these kind of things. So this is the subject matter. Sometimes people, of course, become attracted. They read in the final text about one should go and live in Radha Kund, and sometimes you get neophyte devotees want to go to Radha Kund. But we should understand the text very systematically. You want to follow it from the beginning. So the first thing is to control the 6 urges. If we have not controlled the 6 urges, then certainly we have no qualification to go and live in Radha Kund. Residing in the banks of Radha Kund, that is for the most elevated, topmost transcendentalist, who is completely freed from all material desires. But we have to progress, we have to gradually come to the higher levels of devotion. So Srila Prabhupada was very concerned. He didn't like devotees going off to Radha Kund. And sometimes he'd even send devotees, go to Radha Kund and bring him back. He didn't like anybody going to stay there. Prabhupada was very worried. He said, Radha Kund is, people are not actually very advanced there. They often imitate Rupa and Raghunath Goswami. So better to stay in the temples and stay in the association of the devotees and hear and chant and cultivate controlling the urges and know what is favorable, what is unfavorable. Get the basics right. If you get the basics right, then you have a good foundation to go on and develop Krishna consciousness. All right, so we want to speak about Rupa Goswami and his importance in Krishna consciousness and our Krishna consciousness movement. So in Goloka Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani is lovingly served by 8 principal gopis, of whom Lalita Sakhi is her dearest friend. These intimate maidservants of Srimati Radhika are assisted by 8 main manjaris, with Sri Rupa Manjari being the leader. All right, so describing Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost planet in the spiritual world. So on the topmost planet in Goloka Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani is assisted there by 8 gopis, just like in our temple in Mayapur, we have Radha, Madhava, and the Astasakis, the 8 gopis. And Lalita Sakhi, of course, stands right next to Radharani. It goes Tungavidya, Chitra, Champakalata, Lalita, and then Vishaka, Induleka, Rangadevi, and Sudevi. These are the names of the 8 gopis which are there, the Sakis. And Lalita Sakhi is the dearest friend of Radharani. And these intimate maidservants, they are assisted by 8 manjaris. And the leader of the manjaris is Rupa Manjari. Now the manjaris, they're very special. They're younger than the gopis. They're young girls, little girls. They're young. And the point is that the manjaris, they can assist Radha and Krishna in their intimate pastimes. Because they're very young, they don't worry, they don't feel any envy or anything when they see Radha and Krishna together. They may see Radha and Krishna embracing or something, but they don't feel any envy. It's not like they consider themselves equal or competitors with Radharani. So the manjaris, they have an important role to play in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And because they're so young, they have that opportunity to associate in all the intimate pastimes. And the leader of the Manjaris is Rupa Manjari. So we will hear Rupa Manjari, of course, is Rupa Goswami. In Chaitanya Lila, he is Rupa Goswami, and in Krishna's pastimes, he is Rupa Manjari. So we're showing here now, we're showing a list of all the different acharyas, that many of them, they're identified as being Manjaris. We've written here that all the Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas in their spiritual Manjari forms serve Lalita, Vishaka and Radhasham Sundar under the direction of Sri Rupa Manjari. And Sri Rupa Manjari is none different from Srila Rupa Goswami. Right? In Chaitanya Lila, he is Rupa Goswami. But in Goloka Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami becomes Rupa Manjari. So here's a list of the spiritual forms of prominent Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas. And you can see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is identified as being Nayana Manjari, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Kamala Manjari, like Narottam Das Thakur, Kamak Manjari, like all the different acharyas, they're recognized in this way. Sanatan Goswami, the elder brother of Rupa, he's Labanga Manjari. Now, we want to understand how Rupa Goswami, how he was empowered to write the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, to describe them. So, before the creation of the cosmic manifestation, the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma with the details of the creation and manifested the Vedic knowledge. Right? We say, Tenhe Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. The Lord imparted the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Lord Brahma. And so from Lord Brahma, from the heart of Lord Brahma, we got all the details of creation as well as the Vedic knowledge. In the same way, and this is a quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 1. I have to check that text. Not number 1, I'm sure. Anyway, in exactly the same way, the Lord, being anxious to revive the Vrindavan pastimes of Lord Krishna, impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency. By this potency, Srila Rupa Goswami could revive the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan, activities almost lost to memory. In this way, he spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. So this is from Prabhupada's writing. He's describing how Lord Brahma, he was empowered by Lord Krishna at the beginning of the creation. And in the same way, Rupa Goswami was empowered to describe the Lord's pastimes in Vrindavan. So Rupa Goswami describes the activities of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. And very, very important contribution to the Vaishnava philosophy, to give everyone the opportunity to hear about the pastimes of Lord Krishna and the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan. And how did he get that? He was empowered by the Lord himself, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You could say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered him. So in the preface, Srila Prabhupada has recognized the importance of Rupa Goswami, and he's written, the Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. It's a very powerful statement that the whole Krishna consciousness movement is under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. And of course we will ask, how? How is it possible? Well, we have to read the preface, and the preface continues. Oh, this is from the Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada he states that we are called Rupanuga. Rupanuga. Anuga means following, going, following the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. So, as Rupa Goswami is following his predecessor, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to follow our predecessor. Then we will be successful. Right? We are Prabhupada-nugas, and Prabhupada, he is the Rupanuga, and we are Prabhupada-nugas. We're following our predecessor. And Rupa Goswami, he followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When we offer our respects to some of the acharyas, we recognize them. We recognize their qualities in relation to Srila Rupa Goswami. Here you can see the prayer to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate. We offer our obeisances to Satchidananda Bhaktivinod, who is the transcendental energy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is a strict follower of the Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Right? Gora Shakti Swarupaya, he's empowered with the transcendental energy of Lord Chaitanya, and Rupanuga Varayate. He follows Rupa Goswami. So Srila Rupa Goswami has given us a lot of instructions, for example, about renunciation, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchate. That real renunciation is utilizing everything in the service of Krishna, not for sense gratification. So Rupa Goswami also glorified Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahapadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaur Teveshe Namaha. He described Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as being the most merciful of all of Lord Krishna's incarnations, because he's distributing to everyone love of God, love of Krishna, Krishna Prem. So these are, Rupa Goswami is such a exalted personality. He has given us so much, and we're often, sometimes we forget how much indebted we are to this personality, Rupa Goswami, that he has contributed so much to us. And here you can see the prayer offered to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Madhurya Ujjvala Premaja Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida Sri Gora Karana Shakti Vigrahaya Namastate. Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, personified energy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, who delivers devotional service enriched with conjugal love of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, coming exactly in the line of revelation of Srila Rupa Goswami. So you can see how much importance we give to Srila Rupa Goswami, that all of our acharyas, they're glorified by connecting them in the line of Rupa Goswami. So their position is being described in relation to the wonderful activities of Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Goswami's position is so exalted. And you can see how he gave up everything in the mood of the Goswami, dressed in the loincloth. Okay, this is the Babaji dress. And the possessions of the Babaji, they simply have one water pot and their big bag, their beads. So very simple. He was sleeping under a different tree every night, but he was so rich in Krishna consciousness. And here's another verse, also one of the pranam mantras. There are 4 pranam mantras of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Namaste Gauravani Srimurtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virupa Papasiddhanta Dvantaharine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are the personified teachings of Lord Chaitanya. You are the deliverer of the fallen souls. You do not tolerate any statement against the teachings of devotional service enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami. So in this way, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is glorified. He strictly followed Rupa Goswami, and he did not tolerate any deviation from the teachings of Rupa Goswami. So we're so fortunate. We're studying Rupa Goswami's writings, Upadeshamrita and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also. This knowledge of the mellows of devotional service was instructed directly to Rupa Goswami by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag. Later on, Lord Chaitanya also came to Vrindavan. And Rupa Goswami, at one point, he'd also gone and stayed at Jagannath Puri. So, in relation to Srila Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, of course, he was initiated in Ahmedabad, or now it's called Prayagraj. So it was in the year 1933, Prabhupada first met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati at Uttadanga in Calcutta. But oh, by the way, Uttadanga, we have that property now. Any of you go to Calcutta, please go and see the wonderful center at Uttadanga, which is a region in Calcutta. It's a street in Calcutta. And we have the beautiful place where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was staying when he first met our founder Acharya, Bhaktivedanta Swami. So it's a very important holy place. Actually, many of the leaders in the Gaudiya Math also came and surrendered to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati there at Uttadanga. That was 1922. But Prabhupada was a householder at that time, and although he was impressed and accepted Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati as his spiritual master, he had to move from Calcutta, and he'd gone to stay at what was then known as Ahmedabad, or is it Allahabad? I always get me Allahabad, right? Allahabad. And he was staying there. It became Prayagraj. And he had his pharmacy. He had opened his selling some medicine. Prayag Pharmacy, it was called. His shop was called Prayag Pharmacy. And Srila Prabhupada was staying there. And the Gaudiya Math opened a center there. And then they came to meet people, some of the devotees, or the brahmacharis, the sannyasis. They were going meet different people, and they heard, oh, there's a nice Bengali man, nice gentleman. And they came to meet with our Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada then remembered Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he became very eager to also go to their temple and take part in their activities. And when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada came there, then he was recommended for initiation. So at Srila Prabhupada's initiation, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave him instructions, and he told him to study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And he told him this is the law book on devotional service. Srila Prabhupada used to call the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as the handbook for the Krishna consciousness movement. And many temples, even today, we read it every day. It's a very important book. It's very instructive. There's so much information and so many verses are quoted there. So Srila Prabhupada was one of the very first books which he translated and commented on. Actually, Prabhupada's book is like a summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but described here as the law book on devotional service, or Prabhupada called it our handbook on Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada got that instruction, he should read it, and Prabhupada did. He took it seriously, he read it, he studied it, and he wrote wonderfully our book, The Nectar of Devotion, which it brought wonderful people into Krishna consciousness. One person I know who became a devotee just by reading The Nectar of Devotion was His Holiness Bhakti Charuswami. He read The Nectar of Devotion and he thought it was the most wonderful book, and he decided to immediately join the Krishna consciousness movement. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati met Prabhupada in 1933, but he departed from the world just a few years later in 1937. But before he departed, he told his disciples, he said, I want you all to preach the teachings of Rupa and Raghunath with all energy and resources. Our ultimate goal should become the dust of the lotus feet of Sanatan, Rupa, and Raghunath Goswamis. So this was the final instruction from the divine mouth of Om Vishnupad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, he took sannyas September 17th, 1959, he took in Mathura. His sannyas was taken and he accepted it from Keshava Pragna Maharaj, who was a god brother. And then at that time, Prabhupada moved to Radha Damodar, and he was beginning his translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada, of course, by the time he went to the USA, he completed the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he'd also published it. It had been published, so he took copies of it with him when he went to America. So Srila Prabhupada wanted to stay at the Radha Damodar temple. It was an indication of his desire to live and to serve and to write under the shelter of Srila Rupa Goswami. the Rupa Goswami's Bhajan Kutir and Samadhi is there at the Radha Damodar temple, at the back of the Radha Damodar temple. And so Srila Prabhupada would pray and get empowerment just by being close to that place of Srila Rupa Goswami. And as described here, Prabhupada was under the shelter of Rupa Goswami, and to very practically seek his blessings for his life's mission of translating the Bhagavatam and preaching in the West. Daily, Prabhupada would gaze upon Rupa Goswami's Samadhi while taking prasad in his kitchen. Many years later, Prabhupada said that he received great inspiration from Rupa Goswami, and that the plans for the Krishna consciousness movement were formulated during his years at Radha Damodar. Prabhupada actually had a vision. Rupa Goswami appeared to him while he was staying at Radha Damodar. And Rupa Goswami told him, he said, "Don't worry about anything. Go ahead and travel in the West and preach. Preach the message of Lord Chaitanya and the chanting of Hare Krishna. You'll be successful, I guarantee, because I will be right with you all the time." This is Rupa Goswami speaking to Srila Prabhupada. Rupa Goswami personally appeared and gave that instruction to Prabhupada. So Rupa Goswami gave us the Upadeshamrita to guide our activities. And what purpose? For what purpose is he guiding? First of all, as described in Prabhupada's preface, he said, so we may become perfect Goswamis. That's very nice, nice standard. We should try to become perfect Goswamis. We should become pure Vaishnavas, and it will be easier to make our lives successful. So these 3 points are all made in Prabhupada's preface. Rupa Goswami is giving us these instructions to help us become perfect Goswamis, pure Vaishnavas, and to make our life successful. Then Srila Prabhupada writes, this is an important point in Prabhupada's preface. Prabhupada writes, he says, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. The attitude of the follower. So this is important to consider and to remember, that our attitude has to be correct. We have to have the right attitude in becoming Krishna conscious and practicing devotional service. The mood or the attitude must be right. Here, and the English dictionary defines attitude as a settled way of thinking or feeling. Right? We have to have the right way of thinking or feeling in our devotional service. So we should understand this attitude is very important, to have the right attitude. Of course, devotional service is described different ways. We will see definitions which are there for pure devotion. The attitude should be correct. In Srimad Bhagavatam, devotional service is described. The 2nd chapter of the 1st canto. Savai pumsam parodharmo yato bhakti radhoksaje ahaitakiya pratiyata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation for all humanity to attain is loving service unto the Supreme Lord. Such service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So these 2 points are the ahaitaki apratiyata, unmotivated. The motivation should not be material. We should our attitude as a follower, that we should simply want to serve Krishna for Krishna's pleasure. Unmotivated. Material life, people are often motivated for material gain. And some people are motivated, they want liberation. They just want to get free from the material world. So that kind of attitude is not really correct. That's not what Krishna consciousness is encouraging. Krishna consciousness is about giving up material desires. Ahaitaki apratiyata. So the attitude must be favorable. And apratiyat, uninterrupted. Our service shouldn't be on and off, and oh, today I'm a devotee, tomorrow I'm not doing anything, but today I'm doing service. Our service should be consistent. It should be regular. That every day we chant our rounds, every day we offer obeisances, every day we worship Tulsi. Try to be regular in our activities of Krishna consciousness. Steady, right? As a settled way of thinking or feeling. Feeling for Krishna, thinking about Krishna, thinking about service, the mood of being a servant. So the attitude to be satisfied as a servant, not to be ambitious, to want to become the master, but to be happy to be a servant of Krishna. It's the most glorious position. To be a servant is much better. So we want to be the servant of the servant. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us. And generally, when we do puja, before we do our puja, we should recite that verse, which helps us to come into the right consciousness for worshipping the Lord. That I am not a Brahmin, Kshatri, Vaishya, Sudra. I am not a Brahmachari or a Grihastha or a Vanaprastha or a Sannyas. But I am simply the servant, of many times the servant of that one Supreme Lord who is the darling of all the gopis of Braja. So that the attitude to be the servant, not to be envious or to be ambitious to become the master, but to be happy in the mood as a servant to Krishna. So in this way, we think about how we can have the right attitude. So we can ask you also, how could the study of Sri Upadeshamrita help to improve our attitude in Krishna consciousness? Certainly, if we study this Upadeshamrita, it will help us to improve our attitude. But how will it help us? So, there's a clue. In the next sentence, Srila Prabhupada writes, a follower of the Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Goswami. We're all representing Srila Prabhupada. We're followers. And we have to follow, excuse me, we want to become good examples. So Goswami means one who controls the senses. When Srila Prabhupada first gave the name Goswami, actually it wasn't the first time, but the first time he gave it in the West, he gave it to Satsvarupa Das Goswami, Hridayananda Das Goswami. And devotees were a little surprised. Oh, Goswami, what does it mean? And the two of them went to Srila Prabhupada and asked him that you've given us the title Goswami. Then what does it mean? And Srila Prabhupada said, you study the Goswami Astikam and you will know what is a Goswami. And so this was Prabhupada's answer. So the Goswami Astikam describes the activities of the Goswamis. How, and of course we began the class this evening, we quoted the second verse, Nana Shastra Vicharinai Kanapano, that the Goswamis are always engaged in studying the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles. So this is one activity a Goswami should be doing. We should also study scriptures, and here we are, we're studying Upadeshamrita. And actually, if you study this Upadeshamrita, if you go through the whole book, it's full of wonderful quotations. If you learn every verse which is quoted there in the purports as well as the verses of the Upadeshamrita, you have a very strong Krishna conscious philosophy. There are so many wonderful, important verses there in Prabhupada's purports in this nectar of instruction. So I encourage all of you, and it's a good idea, read this book again and again. You can keep it with you, you can go through it again and just try. Just notice how many verses there are quoted there in this Upadeshamrita, in the different purports. It's so rich in our philosophy. So if you can memorize all of these verses, and if you can use them in preaching, you'll be very strong. You'll be a very strong preacher. You'll become a very good Goswami, right? You want to be a Goswami, it's not just wearing Babaji dress. That's not so important. The dress is not important. But we want to control the senses. That's important. And Prabhupada will be hearing in the next class, we'll talk more about the urges and how we have to control these urges. Okay. Uncontrolled senses pull us in many different directions. Here's one of our ISKCON artists' interpretations of the uncontrolled senses. And you can see the different senses. You know, we have 5 senses. Of course, 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, that is. And they're pulling us in many different directions. The nose is saying, I want to smell something pleasant. We like perfumes, we like the nice, we burn incense sometimes, we enjoy pleasant aroma. So the nose likes the nice smell. The tongue, of course, wants to enjoy the taste. We enjoy so many different tastes. Our eyes like to see beautiful things. We like to see beautiful forms. We like to see beautiful scenes, the countryside. We enjoy these things. And the ears like to hear beautiful sounds, pleasant sounds. Of course, different people are attracted to different sounds. Everyone has their own individual senses, their different tastes. But you can see the different senses, how they're pulling us in different directions. We're trying to enjoy the material world. We're looking for happiness and pleasure. The senses are controlling us. So, Prabhupada writes, of course, in the introduction, in the preface there, how we have to control the senses. In the practice of yoga, you must control the senses. It's a very elementary part of yoga, to control the senses, not to be controlled. Goswami, go means the senses and Swami means the master. So Goswami means the master of the senses. But if our senses are not controlled, then how will we ever remember Krishna? It will be impossible to become Krishna conscious if we don't control the senses. So we do have to practice sense control. We don't want to be Godas. Godas means the servant of the senses. And Goswami means the master of the senses. I was saying we should become the servant, yet the servant of Krishna, but doesn't mean we should become the servant of our senses. There's a difference, right? We should be the servant of Krishna, and we want to serve also the devotees, but we should not just simply serve our senses. Serving the senses, when the senses will cause us to do things which are against the scriptures, we will perform forbidden activities, and when we perform forbidden activities, then we will get reactions, and these reactions will cause us to take another body in the material world. So this is the problem with uncontrolled senses. We will remain repeatedly in so many different bodies, birth after birth. Here's, at the top of the slide, you can see the quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Atmendriya priti vaiditari balikama. The desire to gratify one's own senses is calm, lust. From Adi Lila, chapter 4, verse number 165. So lust, the enemy, the all-devouring enemy, described in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it burns like fire and is never satisfied. So this is a problem with lust. You can never be happy. You can never get peace. And another example, which Srila Prabhupada liked to give sometimes, that just like a fish cannot be happy outside water. The fish's home is in the sea. So you bring him out of the water and you may offer him a nice cigar and you give him a nice armchair, a nice beach chair, and you may give him money and you may give him air-conditioned hotel room, you may give him pornographic magazines or literature to look at, these things. Nothing will make the fish happy. His only thought is, put me back in the sea, put me back in the sea. So the same way, our real home is in Krishna consciousness. What we all actually want is to be back in Krishna consciousness. that desire, here you can see Kamendriya Priti Ichadari Premanam. The desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prema or love. From Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 165, chapter 4. So we want to develop that desire, just simply to please Lord Krishna. That is our real business in Krishna consciousness. So what does it mean? Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. We have a nice quote given here by one of our senior Vaishnavis. This is Srimati Mataji. I'll just read her quote to you. The attitude of the Gaudiya Vaishnava is antithetical to that of any other spiritual practitioner. The karmis, yogis, jnanis, and impersonalists all attempt to attain the goal by their own power and expertise, by trying to manipulate and control the material energy. But the introspective Gaudiya Vaishnava realizes that true success will be attained by taking shelter of the internal energy and surrendering to Krishna. Right? Maharaji is saying that we're different from all the other spiritual practitioners. These other so-called spiritualists, the karmis, yogis, jnanis, mayavadis, they're all attempting by their own power to control the material energy. But in our line, in Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we understand the real success is to surrender to Krishna, to take shelter of the energy. So in essence, the Gaudiya culture is one of surrender, consciously and favorably bringing the body and mind into line with the needs of the soul, depending on Krishna and his bona fide representatives in our lives. Rupa Goswami kindly and very clearly explains the practicalities of this culture of surrender in both Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and in Sri Upadesh Amrita. Sri Upadesh Amrita deals specifically with the attitude, the vision, and the mindset. We need to make genuine advancement in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so this is our this is the text on the preface. I'm not going to go on to text 1, that's for the next class. What we'll do now, we'll stop here and we'll ask if there's any questions.
Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam to you. Thank you very much for the introduction. Just for the benefit of some of them who may be a little new, if you can just give a very brief overview on the Panchatattva and then the Shat Goswamis, where they resided, what they did, just like a small story of Rupa Goswami. It would be wonderful as a background.
Okay, so the Goswamis, six Goswamis, they were the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. Oh no, wait, sorry.
Can we hear you?
What
We
happened?
can hear Maharaj.
Yeah. So they were the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they resided there. They came to live in Vrindavan, and they were given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's direction. They were given the task of discovering the different places of Lord Krishna's pastimes, because Lord Krishna, he had appeared 5,000 years ago, Now the Goswamis, they were all followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared some 500 years ago. So there was a big time gap between Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Krishna's pastimes had all been lost. Vrindavan was known, Govardhan Hill, no difficulty with Govardhan Hill, but other places had all been lost, and even Radhakund, nobody knew where is Radhakund. It was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who went there and personally discovered Radhakund. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we worship him along with his associates. They're called the Panchatattva, or 5 features of the Absolute Truth. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can see in the picture of the Panchatattva that he stands in the center, and then his expansion is Nityananda. And we say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, and Nityananda is Lord Balaram, who's come to be in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram are together, and so Chaitanya and Nityananda, they're together. Krishna and Balaram come as Chaitanya and Nityananda. And then Advaita Acharya, he is the incarnation of the Lord. There are 5 features, Panchatattva, 5 features of the Absolute Truth. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is directly the form of the Absolute Truth. Lord Nityananda is the expansion. Advaita Acharya is the Lord's incarnation. He is actually a form of Mahavishnu who comes as Advaita Acharya, and he was responsible. Oh, thank you. Here's a nice picture of the Panchatattva. You can see in the middle Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his arms, both arms raised. And then to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's right is Lord Nityananda, and then to Nityananda's right is Advaita, who has a beard, a white beard. He's an elderly person. And then on the other side, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's left side, you have Gadadhar. Now Gadadhar is the Lord's internal potency. And then on Gadadhar's left, you have Srivas, who is the marginal potency. So you have the margin, or Srivas is, by the way, his expansion is Narada Muni, and Gadadhar, we would say he is Radharani, the internal potency of the Lord. So 5 different features all come together with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, his expansion, his incarnation, his internal potency, and his marginal potency. This is the Panchatattva. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was the teacher, he was the Lord and Master, he is Swayam Bhagavan, he is Lord Krishna, but he comes in the mood of a devotee. He's come as a devotee, and he's teaching everyone how to be a devotee of Lord Krishna. Because Lord Krishna wants to enjoy, and he saw that the devotees of Krishna enjoy more than he himself. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. He is Krishna, but he's coming as a devotee because he enjoys more being the devotee than being God himself. It's more fun to be the devotee than to be the Supreme Lord. And the Goswamis, they're all followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're all devotees. And the leader of the Goswamis was Rupa Goswami, we were mentioning tonight. Okay. Is it all right? Any questions?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Dandot Pranam Maharaj. I have one jigyasa on Manjari Maharaj as well. How this Manjari are serving Lord. So I want to understand little on that Manjari Seva as well.
How are they serving the Lord? Well, they will do things like they will make the different flower garlands and they will make pan and so on. They will bring them for the Lord. And they will make nice arrangements. They will decorate places so that Radha and Krishna can come and enjoy beautiful places. They will decorate different groves and they will do these different, just as we would do things to try to please someone. So the manjaris, so the small young girls, they're making nice arrangements for the pleasure of the divine couple, Radha and Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Danat Nam.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, just another question on Manjaris. We saw Srila Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was Manjari, part of Manjari. Even Bhakti Vinod was part of Manjari. But Srila Prabhupada is not part of Manjari.
Well, nobody said that. That's a bold thing to say. Sometimes devotees would ask Srila Prabhupada about his spiritual identity. And Prabhupada would simply say, that you don't need. You don't need that. Prabhupada never liked to, he never claimed anything like that. Never liked to discuss anything about his own spiritual position. But we did mention how Rupa Goswami had appeared to him in Radha Damodar. So it indicates he had a very special relationship with Srila Rupa Goswami. That before Prabhupada went to America, Rupa Goswami came to him in the Radha Damodar temple. Remember, we were saying Prabhupada was residing in Radha Damodar, very close to Rupa Goswami's Bhajan Kutir and Samadhi. And Rupa Goswami appeared to him and told him that you go ahead and write your books. You go there to the Western world and I'll be with you. You don't worry about anything. So that in itself indicates something of Srila Prabhupada's spiritual position. That certainly he's a very dear, intimate associate of Srila Rupa Goswami.
Yeah. Dhriti Mataji, you can ask your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, just like you said, for my understanding, I would like to know, you said that Rupa Goswami is senior, but Sanatan Goswami was elder to him. So, for my clarification, please.
Well, it's not a big issue, you know. Sometimes Prabhupada would say Rupa Goswami is ahead of the Goswamis. I'm just quoting Prabhupada. Sometimes he would say, other times it would say Sanatan Goswami was ahead of the Goswamis. Remember, seniority is not just by age. But Rupa Goswami, yeah, he was younger, and Lord Chaitanya instructed him for 10 days, but Sanatana Goswami, he was instructed for, was it 2 months?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Maharaj, these manjaris, that any devotee who progresses in Krishna consciousness can be a manjaris, or only the Goswamis can be a manjaris in the service of...
Well, we're hearing tonight everyone should become a Goswami, right? We're studying the Upadeshamrita. The idea is we will become also Goswamis. Goswami means, don't think of Goswami as just simply a title, he's like a sannyasi or like. Goswami means one who is in control of their mind and senses. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the 7th Goswami. So you can become the 8th Goswami. You know, you also control your mind and senses. You can also be a Goswami. You want to be a Manjari? Well, you have to see what is your spiritual position. That will be revealed as you go, when you go back to Godhead. What is your actual service? What is your duty? What kind of form you will have in the spiritual world? Then only it will be revealed to you. You may be a Manjari, I don't know. You don't, but certainly you do have to go back to the spiritual world. You should become a Goswami. You should become free of sinful reactions, and you should be pure in body and mind, and you should control your senses. Otherwise, how can you go back to Godhead? Is it clear?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for these questions. Very nice. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, so in the Panchatattva, Gadadhar Pandit was the incarnation of Srimati Radharani. So how their pastime associated with like a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he sees Gadadhar Pandit, like okay, how he exhibited from the while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like okay, Krishna, and the Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani. So they performed any pastimes like in that particular Leela, Maharaj?
No, I don't know of any, but they were intimately connected. Gadadhar was always very deeply attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He associated with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a young boy. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and moved to Jagannath Puri, Gadadhar followed him and also stayed with him. And every day Lord Chaitanya would come to Gadadhar Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit would read Srimad Bhagavatam to him. Every day practically. And Mahaprabhu liked to hear, usually Mahaprabhu liked to hear pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. And when Lord Chaitanya decided to go to South India and to look, he said to look for his brother, Gadadhar wanted to go with him. But Lord Chaitanya told him no. He said, you have to stay here. Because Gadadhar had taken a vow, he'd taken a vow of Kshetra Sannyas, which means staying in the holy dham. And he was also worshipping, Lord Chaitanya had given him the deity of Tota Gopinath. And so Lord Chaitanya told him that you have to worship Gopinath, and you've made a vow also to stay in this holy place. He said, you should not break your vow. Lord Chaitanya was very strict with people. He didn't like anyone deviating from any of their vows. And so when Gadadhar wanted to go with him to South India, he told him, no, you have to stay. But it was unbearable to Gadadhar, the thought of being separated from Lord Chaitanya. Gadadhar fainted. He could not live without Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Lord Chaitanya, he left anyway. And he left Gadadhar to stay in Puri. But yeah, they were very intimately connected. And after Lord Chaitanya departed, it was only a short time before Gadadhar also disappeared from the world. So those are some points. But I never heard of any like Radha and Krishna. But some people do worship Gaur Gadadhar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife had Gaur Gadadhar deities, and there was also Vaninath, who was the brother of, who was it? His brother? Oh, Gadadhar's brother, Vaninath. And he also had Gaur Gadadhar deities. The Champahati, you can see these Gaur Gadadhar deities.
Okay, Maharaj.
It's a very high, you have to be very advanced to worship Gaur Gadadhar. Srila Prabhupada gave us Gaur Nitai to worship. Gaur Nitai is more in the preaching mood. Gaur Gadadhar is a different mood, it's not quite, the emphasis is more on It's more Krishna Leela and Krishna's pastime. But Gaur Nitai is there in the mood of preaching, and Prabhupada was encouraging the preaching. It was Lord Chaitanya sent Lord Nityananda out preaching. So Prabhupada liked to worship Gaur Nitai. Okay.
If there are no more questions, and with Maharaj's permission, I just wanted to say a few things to just supplement what Maharaj has said. Can I have your permission, Maharaj?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. Just I wanted to indicate the some important events and dates in the life of Srila Rupa Goswami. His appearance was in 1411 or in 1489 AD, 1489. And we know that Lord Chaitanya had appeared in 1486. So Srila Rupa Goswami's appearance is 1489. He basically came from a Karnataka background of a family, and then the family had moved into Bengal. Three brothers who are generally spoken of there are Sanatan. That is, these were names given by Lord Chaitanya to them when they met at Vrindavan. There were three brothers, and all the three brothers were very much surrendered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So their names were Sanatana was called, Amar Bhatta, though they had different names because they worked under the Nawab Hussain Shah. Rupa was called Santosh Bhatta, and then they had Vallabha. So Vallabha was called Anupama later. And Vallabha's son is Jiva Goswami, who being a nephew of Rupa and Sanatana is also one of the 6 Goswamis. They happened to work for the Nawabs in very responsible positions. And there are a lot of stories about how they served, and they were important ministers or treasurers with the Muslim king, and how after they met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they wanted to leave and serve Lord Chaitanya, and they had to do a lot to get to resign, to submit a resignation letter and to be relieved. They had a lot of difficulty, and so they had to, in a very secretive way, leave and move and leave the service of the Muslim rulers of those days. The first meeting of Rupa Goswami happened in Ramakeli, and that happened when he was 25 years of age in 1514. And later on, in 1516, they met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again, and they got Siksha from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, specifically Rupa Goswami, in Prayag, Allahabad, and then they also made a trip to Vrindavan. He traveled to Nilachala from Vrindavan at the age of 28 in 1517, and later on, he had the opportunity to get a beautiful deity of Sri Radha Govinda Deva, who manifests from the hill named Gomatila, and that was when he was 46 years of age in 1535. And he wrote extensively. He wrote the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in 1545, and then he continued to serve, and both the brothers, Sanatan and Rupa, served Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And after the passing away of Srila Sanatan Goswami in 1558, within a month, Srila Rupa Goswami also disappeared. Now, the normal lifespan that we say the Prakrita lifespan is 69 years. It is also said that there was a Grihastha lifespan of 27 years and he lived in Vraja for 42 years. And besides the Radha Damodar Mandir is a Samadhi and tomb and Bhajan Kutir, and our dear Srila Prabhupada. Rupa Goswami was also called Rupa Goswami Srila Prabhupada, and our dear Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, also, when he took sannyas, and just before launching the Krishna conscious movement, he really spent a lot of time at Sri Radha Damodar Mandir. So that's also very, very important. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, in his last will, or almost at the final days in this earthly appearance of his, also said that I want to follow Sri Rupa and I want to become an eternal dust of the lotus feet of Sri Rupa, rather than become a British lion or a Russian bear or anything else in this world. So he was always thinking about Rupa, and so he was always wanting to follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. And as Maharaj said, this is a preaching moment, and therefore Srila Rupa Goswami gave us also this Upadeshamrita, and Srila Rupa Goswami also, when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also wrote this famous verse, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, in the presence of Lord Chaitanya, he quoted it, and then all of the others heard it. I read that he's somebody who's supposed to have completely understood the purpose and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent a lot of time giving him siksha, and that is also one of the reasons why, even though, as Maharaj was saying, just age is not the seniority, because he knew the entire purport, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him direct instructions. We also followed Rupanuga. If we emulate, we try to follow Sri Rupa Goswami. So, in addition, Maharaj did talk about these various verses. We do have another 15 minutes to go. I don't want to hold Maharaj, but then I thought we'd take this opportunity to quickly just recite all the 11 verses once. That I would request Jagwan Prabhu to share the 11 verses on screen, so we can just quickly recite these 11 verses. And the first 4 verses are very, very important verses, which are worth memorizing. Even as a part of the Bhakti Shastri, there is some memorization of verses required, and the first 4 verses are very important to memorize. They can be used very often as you preach, and it's a lesson for oneself. So, with your permission, Maharaj, if I can just chant these 11 verses. Apart from the 4 verses, not all the verses are very easy to chant though, but we will try to chant these verses. If you can just be there with me for a few minutes. Yeah, so expand the size of it. So make the screen a little bigger. Thank you. Okay. So will you all just repeat after me? And I've also given to Jagwan Prabhu a full recitation of these 11 verses. At least you can hear them during the period when you are studying the nectar of instruction. But mandatory 4 verses are something that you have to learn to clear this module of Sri Upadeshamrita. So if you can repeat after me on this particular verse, please. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam.
Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam.
Jikva vegam udara upastha vegam.
Jiva vegam udaropastha vegam.
So Jagwan Prabhu, you can mute everybody except yourself, that you can repeat after me.
No,
The others can
Maharaj
recite.
is repeating it, Prabhu.
Oh, Maharaj
I think Jai Govinda, you muted Srila Prabhu. Srila Prabhu, we can't hear you.
Maharaj, you can chant and I'll repeat after you.
Atyahara prayasascha
Atyahara prayasascha
prajalpo niyamagraha
prajalpo niyamagraha
jana sangascha lovyam cha
janasangascha laulyam cha
sadbhir bhaktir vinashyati
shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati
utsahan nischayadharyat
utsahan nischayadhairya
tat karma pravartanat
tattat karma pravartana
sangatyagat sato vrite
sangatyagat sato vritte
sadbhir bhakti prasiddhyati
shadbhir bhakti prasidhyati
dadati pratigrinati
dadati pratigrunnati
Guyam akyati pritchati
guhyam akyati pritchati
bhungte bhajayate chaiva
bhunte bhojayate chaiva
sadvidam pritilakshanam
shadvidam priti lakshanam
krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta
krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta
dikshasti chat pranatibhischa bhajantamisham
dikshasti chet pranatabhischa bhajantamisham
Sushrushaya bhajanam vigyan vananyamanya
Shushrushaya
nindati shunyam ridam ipsita sangalapya
Nindadi shunya hridamipsita sangalabdhya
draste svabhava janiter vaputascha dosher
Dishtai svabhava janitay vapushascha doshe
na prakritadvam miha bhakta janasya pashyat
Na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashyet
gangam basam nakalo budbuda pena panka
Gangam bhasam nakalu budbuda phena panke
Brahma dravadvam apagacchati niradharmai
Brahmadravatvam apagacchati niradharmai
Syat Krishnanam charitadi sitapya vidya
Tyat Krishna nama charitadi sitatya vidya
Ito patapta rasanasya narochikano
Pito patapta rasanasya narochikadu
Kinvadarad anudinam kalostaiva satjasta
Kintvadarat anudinam kalushaiva jushta
Swadvikramad bhavati tadgadamulahantri
Vadvikramat bhavati tadgata mulahantri
Tannamarupa charitadi sukirtanano
Tannama rupa charitadi sukirtananu
smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya
Mrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya
Tistan braje tadanuragi jananugami
Tishtan vrajetadανuragi jananugami.
Kalam nayad akilam iti upadesha saram.
Kalam nayet akilam iti upadesha saram.
Vaikuntanas janito varamadupuri tatrapi rasotsavat.
Vaikunta janito vara madhupuri tatrapi rasotsavat.
Vrindaranyam udarapani ramana tatrapi govardhana.
Vrindaranyam udara pani ramanat tatrapi govardhanaha.
Radha kundam ihapi gokulapate preman ritatot parat.
Radha kundamihapi gokulapate premamrita planava plavanat.
Koryad asya virajato giritate sevam vivektinaka.
Kuryadasya virajato giritate sevam viveki nakaha.
Karmibhya parito hare priyataya vyaktim vayayor janinas.
Karmebhya parito hare priyataya vyaktim yayogyaninaha.
Tebhyo jnana vimukta bhakti parama premaikanishtastata.
Tebhyo jnana vimukti bhakti paramaha premaika nishtastataha.
Tebhyasta pashupala pankajas drashas tabhyopi saradhika.
Tebhyasta pashupala pankaja drishas tabhyopi saradhika.
Preshta tadvad iyam tadiya sarasitam nashrayat kam kriti.
Preshta tadvadiyam tadiya sarasi tam nashrayet kriti.
Krishna yochai pranaya vasati preyastibhyo piradha.
Krishnasyochai pranaya vasatihi preyasibhyopi radha.
Kundam chashya munibir abitas tadrig eva vyadai.
Kundam chasya munibir abhitastagrgeva vyadhai.
Yat prashter apyalam asuklabdyam kim puner bhakti bhajam.
Yat preshtairapyalam asulabham kim punar bhakti bhajam.
Tat premidam sakridapi sa snanatura vishkaroti.
Tat premedam sakrudapi saraha snatur avishkaroti. Hare Krishna Maharaj. After the first initial 5 or 6 shlokas, they become double size of shlokas. And so that is why do not get afraid. Just the first few shlokas is what you need to learn. And we have just another few more minutes. Jai Govind Prabhu, please put the shloka again. The first shloka I want them to pick up for the day today. And show it with the translation, the first shloka. It will be a preparation for the next day as they hear Maharaj. Repeat after me. Vacho vegam.
Vacho vegam.
Manasakroda vegam.
Manasakroda vegam.
Jihva Jihva Vegam,
Jiva Vegam,
Udara Upastha Vegam,
Udaropastha Vegam,
Etan Vegan,
Etan Vegan,
Yo Vishaheta Dhiraha,
Yo Vishaheta Diraha,
Sarvam Apimam,
Sarvam Apimam,
Prithivim Sasishyat.
Pritivim Sashashyat.
Just keep that on. I'm not going to second verse. I read the meaning once and then I get back to the shloka. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, Vacho Vegam, Manasaha, the mind's demands, and Krodha Vegam, the actions of anger, Jihva Vegam, the urges of the tongue, Udara Upastha, belly and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So just get back to the shloka, please. I repeat full lines. Kindly repeat after me 3 times if you don't mind, every one of you. Maharaj, I am shy when you repeat after me. Jagavan Prabhu, you repeat after me, please.
Yeah. Maharaj, do you have a class tomorrow morning?
Well, no, I arranged. I did my China class this afternoon. It was recorded because it would be 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't have a class tomorrow morning.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Just can the rest of you, other than Maharaj, repeat after me the shloka once more. Okay? Repeat 3 times after me.
Yeah.
Vacho Vegam Manasakrodha Vegam.
Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam.
I'll tell once more, repeat it 3 times, please. Vacho Vegam Manasakrodha Vegam.
Vacho Vegam Manasakrodha Vegam. Vacho Vegam Manasakrodha Vegam. Vacho Vegam Manasakrodha Vegam.
Jihva Vegam Udaropastha Vegam.
Eva Vegam Udropastha Vegam.
Jihva Vegam
Udaropastha Vegam. Jihva Vegam Udaropastha Vegam. Rupastha.
Etan Vegan Yo Vishaheta Dhiraha.
Etan Vegam Vishaheta Diraha.
Etan
Vegan Yo
Vishaheta
Diraha.
Etan Vegan Yo
Sarvam Apimam Prithivim Sasishyat.
Sarvam Apimam Prithivim Sashishyat.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Every day we'll pick up some 1 shloka so that at least those 5 shlokas, by the time you finish the classes, you'll also have it memorized. Try it out. Jagavan Prabhu will also send out the shloka recitation. So at least the 4 shlokas or the first 6 shlokas are not very difficult. You can pick up, try it out. I would like to personally thank His Holiness Bhakti Vigna Narasimha Swami Maharaj for taking us through as a preface today. Today was only preparatory, but the 2 more sessions that Maharaj is going to take, at least this session, the next session he's going to take, is very, very useful, and the next few shlokas are very, very, very important. And so 1 shloka is required for a whole class of Maharaj because of these 6 urges need a lot of investment. That is why Maharaj, after the experience I had last time, I wanted a little extra classes, so we dwell on the whole thing a little more. Thank you very, very much to all of you, and thank you, Maharaj, and thank you to every one of you to be attentive and asking questions. Please make sure that you keep notes. I would also request Maharaj to share the presentation and any other slides that I have also from a very beautiful book that I got will also be shared. I will share the slides from some of these important aspects also over to all of you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Maharaj. Vansha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Srila Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, devotees, 10:30. Srila Prabhu, can we arrange a personal session on Wednesday if possible? If
Come again?
on Wednesday, maybe we can arrange, in 607. If some
Maharaj being here,
yeah.
can we ask how many of them will be able to make it? The others can also attend as well. That's perfectly okay. Taking the advantage at least of Maharaj's presence. If some of you want to come over to 607, it will be an honor to have you there. So the only thing that you need to watch out is those who are not able to attend, the audio should be as clear and as good. That should be okay.
Yeah. We have the Jaban Prabhu. We'll use that. It will be very good.
I'll leave it to you. If you want to have a show of hands, how many of them will be able to make it? And then you can fix it up. Otherwise, it's okay.
We'll take that count tomorrow and we'll finalize, Prabhu. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You're most welcome to get more people to join in. The cream of nectar of instruction starts from the next class. Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jai Govinda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Go Premanande.
Krishna.